Number one, review your finances, okay? So sit down, there's a good app called Mint, and there's a couple others where it'll take all your transactions, it'll code them for you, and then give you a summary. But I like to sit down with a piece of paper and a pen and go, this week I'm gonna pay my rent, I'm gonna pay my gas bill, I'm gonna spend some money on food, okay? Next, I'm your coach right now, but I can't be your coach all the time. So the point is you can find a self-help book or listen to on Audible some self-help to keep you motivated and inspired and keep your brain working, and just not to do that all the time because it's kind of make you super anxious. Next, don't look at the news every day because nothing is happening every single day and nothing is happening to you every day. Okay, so for example, there's a magazine called The Week. That's a very good weekly summary, or there's some news summary things to look at, but try to limit your news intake. As Christy said, as I said to Christy, and now we all do, plan your week. Plan it on Saturday and plan it on Sunday. And what you could do is you could look at your calendar and say, what are all my scheduled meetings? And generally what I recommend is no more than 25 human interactions a week. Any more than that, you get overloaded. And no more than 25 actions a week. So on your notebook, like I showed you, there's a notebook, you can split it into 25 human interactions and 25 activities. And generally, you will not be able to get 25 activities done, maybe about 10. And that's okay. Okay, so remember, we all also grow up and we go to school, and school has grades. But as soon as you graduate school, there are no grades. And so then that gets very confusing for people in life. So by doing this sort of structuring, you're kind of grading your own life, ergo, you can be motivated in the way you do things. Okay, the next thing, and I sort of brought it up a little bit, is stop doing something. Okay, so what I always try to do is when I add a task or a project, I think about a project I no longer am going to do. Okay, so you always want to keep that in balance, and a little bit later I'm going to go over how to figure out how to put your life in balance, but think about something that you want to stop doing. And then finally, and this is very important, this has happened during COVID before, which is pre-COVID, if I wrote Christy a nasty email at work, I was like, Christy, I'm so annoyed with you. You were 4 hours late for the meeting. You didn't pay attention to me, right? So I wrote that email. Well, guess what happens? The next morning I got to get up and I got to see Christy at work. So I'm like, oh my God, Christy, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that. I'm sorry I said that, right? Now I can be super passive aggressive in an email at work and I don't have to see you tomorrow. So guess what I get to do tomorrow? I get to send you another email. So something I recommend is that's all building up in our heads. So once a week, think about someone you're really upset with or pissed off and forgive them. Assume that they have been going through some very difficult time, because we've all been going through a difficult time, because a global pandemic is really hard and nobody is good at handling a global pandemic, okay? So once a week, we want to forgive, okay? Does anybody want to throw out any more ideas before I move on to our monthly?
Can I say something?
Yes, you can.
Okay. We didn't say this in our team, but I think one thing to keep on a weekly basis is to review our boundaries, like the people who we have boundaries against, the influences, the media and the content that we have boundaries against, and do a check of like, have we kept up those boundaries? If we kept up those boundaries, like, have they helped us? If we haven't kept those boundaries, like, what can we do? Like, I don't know, just reviewing our boundaries.
Okay, so what I love about that is that's all energy flow, right? So energy is flying back and forth. You can tell, and we call this in coaching energy vampires. So energy vampires are people that after you dealt with them, you're more tired, right? So by looking at your system and also writing down the 25 things and the people, you can start to evaluate once a week, like who lifted your energy and who took it away. Another way, Roshni, that people also get trapped, if someone's like an overposter, you don't realize that energetically you're looking at all their posts and therefore you're trapped in their energy story. Excellent. Lisa, I think you had something you want to say?
I'm glad you brought up forgiveness because I hadn't really thought of that, but the person that I need to forgive the most is myself, because I am pretty ruthless when it comes to setting goals. And if I don't achieve a lot in a week, I feel really bad about myself. And so that is something that I've had to struggle with. So I'm really glad that you said that.
Yes. And what I like to do is I like to give your inner taskmaster, I call them, give them a name, but not your name. Usually someone in third grade who you couldn't stand. Okay. So for me, her name is Elise. Okay. And so it's not Eric who's being really hard on myself. It's Elise. Okay. And that just separates in your mind because nobody can be an amazing, that thing on TikTok, an amazing quarantiner, right? It's like, this is really difficult. And Christy had a question as to whether she's an overposter, and it's good to reflect on it. But if you're a poster that's putting out positive content and making the world a better place and not bringing other people down, post away because you're competing with all the negativity out there. And I would recommend for all of you is really just put out happy content. There's just no reason to work that stuff out on other people because everyone's going through really hard stuff.